Step 1. Cup of tea. Life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. Hi, I'm Alex and welcome to the Late Night Knits podcast. So it's a lovely autumnal day here in the Midlands where I am, and all the lovely orange and red colours and yellow leaves are coming off the trees in the garden. We've got a lovely acer tree that has grown massively since the chickens started perching on a little perch under the tree, so all that chicken poo is really good for them. And Florence the chicken, who's my only chicken at the moment, she's starting to go to bed a little bit earlier. She's quite old now, I think she's about 6 or 7, so she takes to sitting on the porch and just chilling out and waiting for us to give her a bit of corn. Bless. So if you're new to me or you've been here before, hello, and I hope you enjoy spending a bit of time with me, hearing me talk about knitting and wool and all the sort of things that I've been getting on with. So I think, like most people, I learnt to knit with my grandma, and she and I made a little stripy swimming costume for my teddy when I was little, and I think she did most of the work. But yeah, so I sort of didn't knit. I knitted on and off, but I didn't really do that much until the last couple of years, when I've really been enjoying doing colour work and making jumpers, and I've just written a couple of patterns that I think are really nice, so that's been really good as well. Right, what else? So I'm trying to do this in one take, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it, so you might have to bear with me. But I've got my notes. So I've been really inspired by different podcasters like Andrew and Andrea from Fruity Knitting, who are absolutely lovely. And they're going through a bit of a hard time at the moment, so I know they need lots of support, but they're just really encouraging people to watch. And recently I've been watching the Bearded Purl podcast with Caleb and Justin, and they're so funny. They're real storytellers, and so they're brilliant. And the Quirky Monday Craftcast I've recently discovered, and she's brilliant. And I've been thinking about what makes a good podcast as I've been sort of trying to make mine a bit exciting for people to watch. So number one, you've got to have a plant in the background. That's just a thing. And I put a little decoration in the Bearded Purl podcast. They have like a little leaf one, and I made this myself. It's all a woolly paper chain, and you can follow my tutorial for that, plug, and that's on my channel. So what else was I gonna say? Yeah, I found that they're just storytellers, the ones that I like. They really engage you and tell you about their life, tell you about the crazy chipmunks that are in their garden, or, you know, the little dolls that they made for their friends, or the walks that they go on in the hills. So I've really enjoyed that. And so that kind of segues into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, because I got this lovely Herdwick wool while I was making up advent calendars, which I've done a few of for this Christmas. So they have little nano skeins of different breeds, a stitch marker, and some different little bits and sweets and things. So I've really enjoyed gift wrapping those and just sending them out to people. That was really fun to do. So spoilers, one of them is some of this might be an Aran weight too, but this is 4-ply Herdwick from Crookbeck Farm. And it is just really nice and much more soft than I expected. And Herdwicks are one of those really old breeds that get used a lot in the Lake District. So they're mainly sheep that live on the fells, which is just a crazy part of the world to live in, but they're just this really hardy sheep breed that I think they're mainly sold for meat, but you do get some of their wool, and it can be waterproof. You can make tweed out of it. I might try and make some socks out of it and see what it's like. It's a little bit hairy, so it's not really close to the skin kind of thing to wear, but it's quite soft. So this is, I chose this wool to talk about because I was talking about stories, and I wanted to talk to you about James Rebanks, who I've really enjoyed following by his books, and he's just one of those storytellers as well, someone that just can really engage you with a subject. So I thought I would read a bit from his book that I borrowed from a lady at my Guild of Weavers, Spinners and Dyers, who's really nice, and I'm so glad she suggested it, because yeah, it's been a really good book, and I bought his new book, so I'm going to read you a little bit from both of those books now. This little excerpt is about so it's James Rebanks when he was younger, and he's looking down on the hills with a Wainwright's Guide, which is a guide to the Lake District that's written possibly by people that don't live there but have an appreciation of it from a different viewpoint. But it's interesting to see how he feels about the guide as he lives on a farm in the Lake District, and I'll just read this bit. They're beautiful, thoughtful little books, and exert a powerful hold on how other people see our landscape. They cast a spell over people like my teachers at school, whose entire perception of the Lake District was shaped by these books and a handful of others. So I was looking down at the landscape farmed by my father's friends and cross-checking it against the guide. It struck me powerfully that there was scarcely a trace of any of the things we cared about in what Wainwright had written. Apart from the odd dot on the map for a farm or a wall, nothing from our world appeared in those pages. I wondered whether the people on that mountain saw the working side of that landscape, and whether it mattered. In my bones I felt it did matter, that seeing, understanding and respecting people in their own landscapes is crucial to their culture and ways of life being valued and sustained. What you don't see, you don't care about. And there are lots of other little bits in here, just sort of his way of seeing the shepherding life, and he's from this sort of 5 generations, I think it was, of shepherds, and it's a very down-to-earth kind of book, and it's just a nice read. It's not like fast-paced thriller, you know, but it's just got that a slow pace but very intuitive and thoughtful. Alan Bennett said it is a very good book. So, The Shepherd's Life, that's one to read. And I thought I'd read a little bit from English Pastoral, which is his new book. I bought it for my dad's birthday, but obviously I bought it for myself. He can read it, but I am reading it first. Right. My farm, oh no, I was going to read the bit about the Land Rover, because we do live not too far from the Rover, and it's, I think everyone in the Midlands has Land Rover's quite a big part of the industry around historically. Right. He sat in his Land Rover in the farmyard by our back door, revving the engine and peeping his horn. My mum said I'd better get a move on or Grandad will go without me. I tumbled over my own feet, trying to put my Wellington boots on and get through the door. I was to be Grandad's gate opener. We rattled off down the lane with him grumbling about being late. A minute later, he stopped at the long meadow gate and I jumped out and opened it quick sharp. Only the heaviest gates, or those tied with barbed wire, got him out of the vehicle. He drove through and I closed the gate behind him. Some of the pastures were full of ewes and young lambs. He took care to see that they were all being mothered correctly and were thriving. He knew which lambs belonged to each ewe by sight and could tell when one was missing or following the wrong mother. We drove around his stirks, young beef cattle that had just come out of their winter barns to graze. These young cattle were flighty, raising their heads and galloping off, snorting like startled wildebeest. Grandad said they were fine and we needn't bother them. Further down the road, 3 escaped lambs galloped down the road, baaing for their mothers and tried to push themselves back through the hedge. Grandad travelled with a bucket of staples, a hammer and a roll of wire in the back for moments just like this. He sent his sheepdog, Ben, to get the lambs back while he patched up the fences. We let the flock through a gate to a new field. He said they were a bit stale and that my father should have moved them already. Sheep should not hear the church bells twice in the same field, he said. It meant they had been in one field too long. So, yeah, it's the same sort of storytelling. Yeah, the way he tells the story is just nice. And I really like the bits about his granddad because he sounds like a right character and they're just... I don't know, maybe sometimes you only hear the good bits about people's relationships, but... No, yeah, I really like the way that they two get along, and it's kind of passing on that old tradition to the future. Oh, I think I chose the coldest room in the house to read all of this in. Right, gonna put this in. I got this from Devon last year. Ooh. So I can be nice and cosy. Right, what was I going to say? Yeah. If you like books, check out my WordPress account for reviews. I've reviewed The Woman in Black, which is by Susan White. No, it isn't. I keep thinking that's what she's called. Susan Hill. And it's a really spooky story. So it having just been Halloween, I thought it was quite a good one to review. That blog is called Alex Arts Manager at WordPress.com or .wordpress.com. I'll put it in the show notes. And yeah, I just write about knitting and stuff, and it's just a quick way to chat about stuff online, isn't it? Right, so I'll go on to my finished objects. So this is what I was talking about before. This is my Shepherdress headband, and it's not, I'll put this on. I'm not sure headbands are my style, they're a bit fancy, but I like this one. I think they're really warm and they're in Shetland wool. So I've got a couple of different colourways, and that's on Etsy and Lovecrafts and Ravelry. The pattern, that is. Yeah, so Jo Skye test knitted that, which was really kind of her, and she's just had another baby, so I think she's quite busy, but yeah, she still does loads of woolly stuff and looking after the sheep, and yeah, so she's really lovely. But yeah, the idea was that it was called Shepherdress Headband because I'm going to put the motif on a dress, which I think might be in DK, which would be a bit faster to knit up. But that might have to, that might be by next year, because I think it takes a lot longer than you think to do a pattern anyway. Yeah, I just made this. It's it's not anything special. I just had some scraps and I thought, oh, I'll make a little project bag to put these socks in. So I'm knitting these socks and it's just got a wavy rib going down. And I've used Snaeldan I think it's called Snaeldan 4-ply, and that's from Midwinter Yarns. And there's this really crazy rhubarb colour. This is, I can't remember what type of blue it is, but I've got a cyan sort of colour as well. And that's Turkish blue, oh, flag blue, because they do flag red as well. And they're really great colours. Yeah, I kind of thought, trolls, my niece will like that, so I'll make her a little sock before her birthday. I think it's become a bit of a tradition this year to give them one half of a pair of something, and then maybe at Christmas I'll give them the other one when it's done, obviously. Oh, yes, look at that. How good a colour is that? Yeah, so I was, oh, and it's really soft, so that's nice. What else have I got? So my works in progress. This isn't finished yet, but I did start doing the sleeves. I think I've realised I prefer doing sleeves bottom up instead of top down. But I did do a little design for the sleeves, and they're my little ninja cats. Well, they were going to be ninja. They had a little headband in the design, but they're not ninjas anymore, they're just cats. But yeah, I was looking at the Croft House pattern by Ella Gordon, and I realised the shape of the little houses would be really good cat face sort of shape, so I just used that shape for that and turned it into a cat, so that was a good bit of inspiration. What else is there? Okay, alright, yeah, this is what I need now to keep myself nice and warm. Yeah, this is my own stuff that I hand spun from bats, and that's, you can see all the different colours. And I started on the bottom, but I decided to stop that because I need to finish that jumper, or at least try and finish it for Christmas. Cross fingers, we'll see what I can do. I might have to knit non-stop for a week, but anyway, if I would stop getting distracted by, ooh, exciting new projects. But I have, yeah, that so that was from the Witchwood spinner, and I've still got these a couple of 100 grams left. But I might need to spin a little bit more. And I've been spinning those on an Ashford traditional, which I borrowed from my local guild, which is a really great way of learning how to do spinning. So I really recommend, if you've got an active guild, then go for it. That's really cool. Right, so test knits. I've got a couple of people test knitting a cowl for me that's got a cat in it, and I think it's kind of good for lockdown. We've just gone into another lockdown in the UK, woohoo! But I think we're all sort of figuring it out because we've been through it once. It's not so much of a shock now, so. But anyway, so the pattern is like a cat looking into a fish bowl. So the little fish is a bit isolated in its little bowl. The cat wants to eat it. That wasn't that much to do with lockdown, but I was thinking about lockdown. What else? Oh yeah, so I've got these two so at the moment I've been trying to do some exploration into toes, because I've finally got to the end of a sock pattern that I'm writing, and I've done a couple of toes before, but they always end up a little bit funny, like too pointy, or I've grafted it together too soon. So I followed this person who, I can't remember her name, but she's on Interweave, and she's written this whole selection of different toes, like a barn toe, a wedge toe. What other type of toes are there? Star toe, barn toe, all loads of different types of toes. So I'm going to do a bit of an exploration and see which ones I prefer. I do have a book called Sock Art, which is the back of it has a Dutch heel and kind of talks you through different things, so it's quite helpful. But I think I still need to look into that a bit more. And I've just downloaded the Octoberfest sock that Justin spoke about in the Bearded Purl podcast, because I think that'd be really good, but I have to practice my cables. So I'll look at the toe in that as well. But I'm going to, give you a bit of a peek of the sock that I've made that needs to be test knitted soon, once I figured out the toe. But I have done a little bit of colour work, and I've really enjoyed making that. It's like a party kind of, it's like a party colour work. So I suppose it's intarsia really, because it doesn't go all the way around, and the pattern doesn't repeat either, so it was not too difficult, but I had to remember which row I was on when I did it. Right, and I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about today. That might be quite short, so I'll probably insert some different videos. I've got a video of a swan. So we spent a lovely day out the other day. We went to a National Trust place called Croome, and it's got a massive lake, and you can collect conkers there, and it's got a really good path and some gardens with loads of different plants. What plants were there? There's like a big tree with a hole in the middle of the tree that fits a small child. So that's always a fun one to hide in. And then there are people usually flying kites on the hillside by a little chapel. And there's a tree with, I think it's a beech tree because it has beech nuts. What else is there? Yeah, they have some nice vehicles there, like, you know, the little John Deere sort of all-terrain vehicles with the little trailer on the back. They have those. They had loads of those going around when we were there, and it's, I think it was an RAF base originally, and there are loads of pictures of old stuff, and the cafe that they have there, it's all got loads of COVID things now, so you have to wear a face mask when you're there. They only do takeaway coffees, and I think the gift shop and stuff are closed at the moment when we went there. But yeah, it's all sort of painted green like it's an old RAF base. So that's interesting. There are loads of pictures on the walls of people during wartime and stuff. That's really cool. Oh, and they've got a really good playground. so that's for when my nieces go there. Yeah, and they've got some fields of sheep nearby, which is always a good attraction for me. I'm like, oh, what sheep's that? Is the wool good? So that's, yeah. What was I saying about that? Anyway, yeah, so we went there and it was nice, and it was a sunny day and it was coldish but not too cold. Yeah, and we're so lucky to have the National Trust in England, because there's loads of places you can just visit, and it's open spaces, and some of them have follies and all these wildflowers and dye plants. So yeah, they're really interesting places to visit. Right, so that's the end of the podcast, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like my new background that I've been trying. If you've got any comments or questions that you want to ask me, you can put them in the little bit below. I know there's a lady called Yarn Curator, and she was saying that she loves all the different breeds and how many different fibres there are to choose from one of my previous podcasts where I was talking about sheep breeds. So that was really lovely to chat to people when everyone's sort of stuck inside at the moment. It's nice to have this community of people. That's really lovely. So yeah, you could get in touch, and if you want to like and subscribe, that really helps other people to find my podcast and my other videos. Yeah, okay, well, I hope you have a lovely afternoon or day or morning, whatever you're getting up to. Keep on crafting. Bye. I think it's a bit of a life goal to get a big stack of jumpers like the Knitting Expat has. She has this massive stack of jumpers and cowls that are really lovely. So here's my tiny little stack of headbands at the moment. But they've been really nice to make. This is Walnut Len. This one's the Shepherdress Headband. And this is the Shepherdress Headband in like puffin colours, which I really like. And Tormentor Mermaid. And it's all Shetland wool. I think I've used some Jameson and Smith and Tormentil in all of the Uredale yarns in this. And it's really so cozy, and it's thin but warm, which is just brilliant. The colour work makes a really nice fabric. Oh, hello, Mr. Swan.
Nice day, really.
It's a little sneak peek of some of the quilting materials that I've been using for some baby quilts. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to doing some more quilting, and I've just done loads of cutting out. So the next time that I actually sit down to do it, I'll actually be sewing the parts of the quilts together. And I'm really excited because I bought, totally geeking out, I bought a Fons and Porter triangle quilt ruler scale thingy, and yeah, that's been really fun to use. So I've never made a triangle quilt before. I've only made square patches. Yay. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to show you some of that in the next podcast, but it will have to be a little bit secret from my friends who have got babies. So, but yeah, it's going to be so cool. Because it's Wovember, and you can, I don't know if you can see, I'm wearing my Shaun the Sheep top. So it's a woolly month where you just post on Instagram and Facebook about wool and the benefits of wool and how lovely it is, which some of you probably know already. So all of this, I've got, am I going to remember? Llanwenog. I think this is Welsh Mule from Cartref Yarns. This is some Southdown from Griffiths Mill. Ryland from a nice lady on eBay, but she has her own flock. Manx Lochton from ML Produce on Etsy, and some Llanwenog that I got from Witchwood Spinner, which I spun up myself. So yeah, I've made a lovely gradient with all undyed wool, and it's just going to look lovely when it's finished. So yay.